It would be inaccurate to describe Howard Phillips Lovecraft as a man with issues. It's more like he was a bundle of issues shambling around in a roughly bipedal approximation of a man. Chronically depressed, hypersensitive to criticism, almost certainly agoraphobic, prone to horrible nightmares and nervous breakdowns, and thoroughly racist even by the standards of the time, it'd be easy to come to the conclusion that H.P. Lovecraft was simply afraid of everything. But this isn't true either. He was just afraid of everything that wasn't his hometown of Providence, Rhode Island. A while back, I did a trope talk on MacGuffins, and part of my thesis in that video was that the term MacGuffin gets bandied about a little more than it should, and applied to stuff it doesn't actually describe. Sometimes it almost gets treated as a synonym for plot device, a category of objects that exist to drive the plot in specific directions, but technically MacGuffins are just a subcategory of plot device. Specifically, MacGuffins are plot devices that only drive the plot by being wanted, with no other factors playing into their role in the story. But MacGuffins have something of an evil twin, a plot device that resembles them superficially, but drives the plot through some internal malevolence that corrupts the story around them. Instead of being a thoroughly passive player in the narrative, these plot devices are active and antagonistic. I am, of course, referring to the trope of the cursed artifact. Lots of people, apparently. Immortality is a very popular, very old trope. There are basically no stories that show the audience a completely unbroken stretch of time. Characters go to sleep and wake up several hours later, travel time is handled with a montage instead of a 14-hour play-by-play of the entire trip, and the #1 unspoken rule of story pacing is no one ever poops. It might be better for the continuity if we watch the entire process by which a character travels from point A to point B, down to the in-flight snack and the luggage carousel, but it'd kill the pacing to subject the audience to that kind of real-time drudgery.
Popular conceptions of world history can be rightly accused of following something of a formula, and among slavish gossip circles about the sex lives of famous monarchs is an insistence that the medieval period is either dumb and boring or solely interesting by virtue of how abysmal it was. Thus follows the utter grimefest of the fantasy genre. But I can't quite blame popular media for working off a shared set of assumptions that in turn endlessly perpetuate themselves, nor is it fair to call this a recent trend, as Petrarch called post-Roman history the Dark Ages in the 1330s, and Giorgio Vasari first coined the term Rinascita in 1550.
That still exist. And that's English with big glowing air quotes, by the way, as it was written in Old English. Now, you might have Old English confused for that stuff Shakespeare wrote, you know, all those forsooths and verilies and whatnot, but that's actually early modern English. Now, failing that, you might think that messy language Chaucer wrote the Canterbury Tales in must be Old English. You know, that stuff you can kind of read, but it's all written with weird spellings and pronounced like you've got a golf ball in each cheek.
Today we're going to be spending some time talking about the world design in a little video game called Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I'm joined by Red, who will help me explore the wonderful and very terrifyingly old world of Hyrule.
Howdy everybody, I'm very excited to talk about Legend of Zegent today. Let's have a good time.